Hey, 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 happy holidays. Come on in, pull up a chair. The Gaming Gang Dispatch is in the air. Howdy, 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 gang. Welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host here at the Gaming Gang Dispatch, brought to you by, amazingly enough, thegaminggang.com, of which I happen to be the founder and editor in chief. So, welcome aboard. Tonight is Wednesday, November 30th. 2022. This is live stream 858. It's your first time joining me, let me point out, super casual around here, just hanging out, talking about the latest in tabletop gaming news. And then we'll normally take a first look at a game product, game title, what have you. And tonight is no different. We're going to wrap up our free league publishing week with a first look and page through of Vaesen, Mythic Britain and Ireland from the aforementioned free league publishing. And we'll be jumping on into this in just a bit. If you're not overly familiar with the show, I should mention that we always tackle the tabletop gaming news first. So if you're watching live, pick up your feet, relax, take a break, take it easy on yourself. We'll get there. We'll get to Mythic Britain and Ireland, but it'll probably be about 35 minutes. Now, if you're watching a half hour or more after the show ends, well, you can skip past the news because there will be timestamps. Those timestamps are in the show notes, or depending on the device you happen to be watching this on, they very well could be right in the timeline of the video, right in front of your nose. Of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more that you won't find here on the YouTube channel. In fact, later this week and into the weekend, you will see some written reviews for Pathfinder and Starfinder releases that, of course, are not videos. They're written reviews. So those will be out there as well. Lastly, this is a live stream. So that means there is chat available. It's not on screen. It's one of the ways I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay. But I do my best to pay attention to chat. So if you want to say howdy, maybe you've got a question, a comment, maybe you want to take a closer look at something with Mythic Britain and Ireland, by all means, please chime in. I will do my best to respond. Should also point out you must be a subscriber to the channel for at least 48 hours before you can take part in chat. Yet another way that I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay. So first out, the gate tonight in chat is the Motor City Madman himself. No, not that numbnuts Ted Nugent. No, we're talking about the Madman. That's right. Michigan's very own Madman, who, memory serves me correctly, served in the Coast Guard for us. Something Ted Nugent certainly didn't do. In fact, you might want to look into the story Ted used to like to tell about how he avoided getting drafted. Poo-poo. Look at that, I'm political already. I try to keep those politics out of the show, but gotta rip on Nuge, the Nuge, every chance I can get. Coco B is with us, as is Mr. Eddie T. Kathy Evans is also in chat with us as well. So the Madman and Mr. Eddie T are both chat moderators here on the channel, as is Miss Sarah D. I'm sure she's probably floating around, lurking as usual. I'm sure we'll have her chime in just a bit. So the Madman says, "Oh boy, do I have issues with Ted Nugent." I'll say no more. I won't either. He says enough to get himself in trouble. We don't need to add. We don't need to, pile on. So before I jump into the news, I do want to offer my condolences because a friend of mine, in fact, he's my brother's best friend, at least to my knowledge, he is. Our friend David, his father passed away on Thanksgiving morning. He had been ill for quite some time, but heard about that the other day, and I keep forgetting to offer my condolences. I mean, I've done it, personally, but uh, I know he'll catch the show on occasion because he goes to Comic Con with us out in San Diego all the time. He's out of New York. He'll fly in to the Chicago area for some of the Chicago comic shows as well. So yes, that was too bad. Very bad here. And I don't know about you, but I mean, in my opinion, I mean, it's bad enough losing a loved one, but when it's on a holiday like that, that's just, I would think it would pretty much trash that holiday for essentially the rest of your life. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Sarah D says she's lurking and crafting, got a silhouette machine as a gift for herself. Those are the best gifts, aren't they? You know who always gives me the best Christmas present every year? That's right. So, anyway, the Madman offers his condolences to my friend David as well. So yeah, I was gonna say if you've caught any of our kind of half-assed Comic Con coverage, you've probably encountered David. So really, he's a really nice guy, really funny too. All right, let's jump on into the news because arriving in stores in January is Beer and Bread from designer Scott Alms. Here's the latest from Capstone Games. Beer and Bread is a multi-use card game for two players. Its clever structure of alternating rounds puts a fascinating twist on player interaction, card drafting, and resource management. Founded on the fruitful lands of an erstwhile monastery, two villages have held up the dual tradition of brewing beer and baking bread. While sharing fields and resources, they still find pride in their friendly rivalry of besting each other's produce. Each of you represents one of these villages. Over the course of 6 years, which alternate between fruitful and dry, you must harmonize your duties of harvesting and storing resources, producing beer and bread, selling them for coins, and upgrading your facilities. However, in order to win, you must maintain the balance between your baked and liquid goods. Because after the 6th year, you only score the coins collected from the type of good, beer or bread, for which you earned less. The village with the higher score, obviously enough, wins. Beer and Bread is for two players, ages 10 and up, plays in around 30 minutes, going to carry an MSRP of $34.95 when it arrives in January. So you may have noticed early in a news piece, I mentioned that this is a Scott Alms design, and it's not coming from Goodman Games. I've noticed, what is it, about the last year or so? Scott Alms has had a lot of designs from other companies because they don't really fall into like that tiny epic sort of vibe, I guess we'll say. Maybe this seems to have a bit more of an epic vibe to it, a much larger scale to it, I would think. I I got to admit, taking a look at some of these images here for a two-player game, there seems to be a good amount of space being utilized. So could be very, very interesting. On to the next news piece. There's another early 2023 release, and it is Hamlet from Mighty Boards. Here's the skinny. Alas, poor Yorick. I knew him well, Horatio. No, I'm joking. This game is a village building game. Hamlet is a medium weight competitive village builder where players are communally turning their hamlet into a bustling little town. In this tile placing game, players construct buildings that everyone can use to create materials, refine resources, earn money, and make important deliveries to construct the hamlet's big landmark, the church. Game features irregular shaped tiles that connect together without a grid to form a village that is completely different every time. The tile placement organically creates interlocking paths that the villagers use to transport resources across the village. This leads players to construct boards where no two games will ever feel the same. Since the buildings are communal, this also creates a fluid economy where players are always working hard to provide the village with the resources that are most needed. Game is designed by David Cherkop, and it plays with 1 to 4 players. There is a solo mode, which is also under development. And I believe there is also an expansion on the horizon. Hamlet is for 1 to 4 players, ages 10 and up, plays in around 60 to 90 minutes. It's going to carry an MSRP of around $54.99. I have not been able to nail down the exact MSRP of the retail edition. I've run across varying amounts. So $54.99 is ballpark, right around that. I will point out that the images you're seeing with like the stickered meeples and things like that, I want to say that is actually from the deluxe or premier Kickstarter edition, which runs about $80. But I gotta say, I'm digging this kind of odd shaped tiles, although a lot of them look to be hexagonal. But it looks very interesting that you put, you kind of build the town and the each of the tiles is a little bit different and things like that. So pretty sweet. Pretty sweet. All right, Chen from Taiwan, our pal, our new friend from Taiwan is with us in chat, as is Kevin R. Smith and Doug Roberts. I think I've said hello to everybody. Oh no. 245 Trioxin is with us as well. The chat's off and running. We got a nice chat already cooking. How about some role playing game news? Because Paizo Inc. will be releasing a Starfinder adventure anthology in April. And here's the scoop on Drift Crisis Case File. In the aftermath of the Drift Crisis, investigators working for the Eyes Wide Agency scramble to take on an influx of cases to track down missing people, bring back lost property, and unravel the tangled threads of interrupted lives. The strange stories born from those strange times would later come to be known as the Drift Crisis Case Files. This all new Starfinder adventure anthology includes Charmed Life. A wealthy socialite hires the investigators to search for her missing friend, influencer Kim Testa. Influencer, huh? You mean in the far flung Starfinder future, we have not gotten rid of that nonsense? Anyway, influencer Kim Testa, who was among thousands to disappear during the drift crash, the eyes must trace the celebrity's digital trail, all the while avoiding a team of ruthless Hell Knights hired by Testa's desperate father to bring her home at any cost. This adventure is for levels 3 and 4. Then there's Family Heirloom. Edriad, a Sharon refugee, hires the investigators to find a precious family heirloom stolen from her hotel room, a highly coveted cursed artifact known as the heretic worm. Interesting. A lot of people are trying to get their hands on something that's cursed. Usually the other way around. A lot of people try to get rid of it. The investigators tangle with a wealthy drow arms dealer and his bodyguards, corrupt station security officers, and other pursuers in their race to recover the worm before its deadly curse claims another victim. Yes, it poisons their tequila. I just threw that last part in. Twisted Business is also part of the package. Morrow, an android who returned to Absalom Station after being presumed dead in the drift crash, hires the investigators to recover a lost valuable that he traded under extreme duress for safe passage home. But there's more to Merrow's case than meets the eye. After the investigators locate the missing item, Merrow's arrested for murder. To truly close the case, the investigators search for evidence of Morrow's innocence and try to discover the identity of the real murderer for levels 10 and 11. To solve each case, investigators must navigate Absalom Station's seedy underworld of criminals, corrupt station security forces, and wealthy puppet masters. Luckily, they have their own allies to rely on, as detailed in a contact codex of prominent NPC allies and new rules options, perfect for psychic investigators. The 64-page Starfinder Drift Crisis case file soft cover will carry an MSRP of $24.99 when it arrives next spring. I'm happy to see Paizo branch out from only doing adventure paths. And they started this, I would say maybe 2 years ago or so. We started to see some more. I mean, we've seen standalone adventures before, but we've started to see more standalone adventures. So kind of cool that we've got the trilogy in this anthology on its way. Rapscallion J is with us in chat. Welcome aboard, Jay. So, on to the next news piece. Goodman Games has revealed the latest adventure for Dungeon Crawl Classics Lankmar. Here's what I know about Thieves of Cold Corner. It's a level 3 DCC adventure set in, you guessed it, Lankmar. A cache of invisible ice diamonds and an overlord's ransom and gold rilks. Amid the drunken revelry of midwinter's solstice, Cold Corner was never riper for a heist. But to pull it off risks the ire of the snow women and their scalds, cruel axemen eager for the chance to prove their devotion to their cold mistresses. And with the power to shape cold and the blinding blizzards, shattered bones, and frozen bodies that must surely follow, the sorceress matriarchs of the Snow Clan are not to be trifled. Some would say you'd be a fool to cross the Snow Women north of the Troll Step Mountains. They'd be right, but that's never stopped you before. In the grand tradition of Grey Mouser and Fofford, a dangerous heist set in a distant land. Test your arcane mastery in spell battles with the sorceress Snow Women. Encounter deadly and strange new foes like the invisible polar worms and the Snow Clan Scalds. Dungeon Crawl Classics Lankmar Thieves of Cold Corner can be pre-ordered right now for $10.99. That's going to include the PDF as well, I should point out. And this has not gone to the printer yet. But normally, from what I've seen, turnaround from the pre-order point to when the physical books are available, and of course, this is probably 32 pages. So we're looking at probably, is it a saddle stitch? I don't think it's a saddle stitch on those, if I remember correctly. I think it's just, regular, almost like a magazine printing. I think the turnaround's usually like 2 months. So we should see this early next year, which would work pretty well, seeing that it's, in the frozen north. Yes, it's slated for a summertime release. Yeah, it's got a holiday theme to it. Of course, that holiday is Christmas. Sorry. That's always weird. I always find that to be really weird. Oh, actually, after we wrap up the news, I'll mention something I thought was kind of strange. It's supposed to be heading my way, but I don't know. All right. Lastly, Chaosium Inc. has released the highly anticipated Rivers of London, the role-playing game in PDF. I've got the dope. In Rivers of London, the role-playing game, players take on the roles of newly recruited members of the London Metropolitan Police Service's Special Magic Branch. Say that 5 times fast. AKA the Folly. You will solve mysteries, catch criminals, and come to grips with the demimonde, those who have been irreversibly changed by magic. The Rivers of London, the role-playing game core book, contains everything you need to start exploring Ben Aaronovitch's magical version of London. I think I've pronounced his name correctly. This single epic volume is for both players and game moderators alike. The tome I shouldn't say comprises, yes, the tome compromises the rules. They've been compromised. Think wetting my whistle will help. The tome comprises all the rules you need for fully fledged Rivers of London campaigns. Build your group of freshly recruited officers of the Folly with character creation, expand and grow those characters with the complete rules for character advancement, and enjoy extensive advice for running tabletop RPGs and Rivers of London specifically provided for the game moderator. Explore a magical mystery in London and learn the rules of the game as you play. The solo adventure, based on the short story The Domestic, is designed to introduce a player to the world of Rivers of London and the mechanics of the game. Also included is The Bookshop, a standalone adventure designed for a first-time group of players. Rivers of London, the role-playing game, includes setting information and history and the wondrous details of how the Newtonian magic system works. That's right, it's not Vaesen, it is Newtonian. The book also contains a full list of spells derived from those found in the novels of Ben Aaronovitch. Give both players and game moderators the best sense of the setting and role of their characters. Special attention is paid to detailing how police work in London and how criminal investigations are carried out. The 400-page PDF of Rivers of London, the role-playing game, is available right now over at DriveThruRPG for $29.99. This is something that I had talked with Michael O'Brien, otherwise known as Mob, from Chaosium Inc. about at Gen Con. So we talked about this a little bit during my interview with him. And I have to say, I'm pretty excited. I'll be the first to admit, I have a very, I don't know, distant understanding of Rivers of London. I know it's an urban fantasy series, and it's more kind of mystery related and things like that. I also know that Titan Comics over in England has produced a few different series of comics that are out. They are part of the lore. They're part of the canon of Rivers of London, and I think they've actually been written by Ben Abramovich, or I should say Aronovich. So that gives you some extra options for adventures as well. So Rapscallion J says it's Dresden Files with a touch of England. God, I would hope it's not. I tried to get into the Dresden Files and should have just been Dreadful Files. Hey, it's just me. I am not walking on your buzz. If you enjoy urban fantasy and things like that, God love you. You know, but yeah, Dresden Files to me was one of those Mary Sue. What the hell are they called? Uh, like male characters, something Stew, if I remember correctly. Flaming Huron's with us in chat. Good to see you, Flaming Huron. Jay says Dresden File books are awesome. That's fine. I like I said, everybody's got their own taste. So if they didn't, then Harlequin romance novels would have never sold. So there's that. But I'm excited to see this because if you think about it, it has been a long time since Chaosium has branched out with a different IP other than Call of Cthulhu and RuneQuest. Of course, yes, I get it. Seven Seas is with them now, John Wick's role playing game. But this is a brand new IP. I think this should be really cool because if you also think about it, Chaosium is pretty top notch when it comes to getting settings right, especially for Call of Cthulhu. So I would think that the London setting of but with the Fae and the magic and things like that, I think they'll do a very good job. Marty Stew, that might be it, Kevin. That might be it. So there are a lot of popular book series out there that their authors are just, oh, this is me in the book. I'm the main hero. Like, yeah, no thanks. So Rapscallion J says it'd be very boring if we were all the same. Oh my God, wouldn't it? Gosh, if I had to sit in same room with someone exactly like me for like 3 hours, I'd go bonkers. Be like, get out of my head. Ah. All right. So once again, this is available now in PDF. It's a 400-page core book. So right there, got a lot packed in. I'm really hoping that Chaosium's going to release a good, solid amount of content for this. I've got faith in them. I've got faith in my friends over at Chaosium Inc. All right, that is it for the news tonight. Of course, just talking about how Rivers of London is available over at DriveThruRPG. Don't forget, the gaming gang, thus the Dispatch, is affiliated with the One Bookshelf sites. So if you are going to visit, say, DriveThruRPG, please stop by thegaminggang.com first. Click on one of our banner ads. That way, if you happen to make a purchase, I get a small portion of that sale. All those nickels, dimes, and quarters really do add up and help keep thegaminggang.com around. Also, if you like this video, if you dig the channel, if you find thegaminggang.com to be a valuable resource, hell, if you just like what we do, you can always stop by paypal.me/thegaminggang and making a small donation. And thankfully, there are a lot of people out there who either utilize our banner ads and or visit paypal.me. So thank you very much. Big tip of the cap to everybody out there who does that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And of course, I should also mention there are still about 130 role playing games, board games, miniature games that are currently up for sale over at thegaminggang.com. Many of them are just simply review copies of things that we played or I had to read to do reviews of. So it's not like they've been, beaten to hell and back. So keep that in mind as well. So that's an ongoing sale. And you'll see if you go to thegaminggang.com, you'll see there's a little box ad that says used games for sale. If you'd like to check that out. That also helps keep gaminggang.com afloat. So there were two things I was going to talk about real quick. I should mention once we come back from the brief intermission, it'll probably be a little brighter in here because for some strange reason, I forgot to turn on one of the lights. Got everything ready, started the stream, talking to the camera, and I'm like, hey, that light isn't on. Didn't I turn that light on? Although, I gotta say, it's not too dark. I mean, at least what I'm looking at, the preview looks okay. So I didn't realize it right away. But yeah, we are missing a light right now. So Rapscallion J asks, do I ship to the UK? I can. I have. It tends to be expensive. And Coco B is still waiting for a package that God knows what UPS has done with it. I have actually submitted a request for investigation and heard not a thing from UPS. And they don't give you any kind of like follow up or anything like that. Sarah D says, yeah, everything looks fine. Coco B says the spiders want warmth, Jeff. Turn on the light. Yes, in the kingdom of spiders. Although it's gotten very cold in the Chicago area. So it is like 30 degrees. I think it's lower than that. I think it's like 26 outside. Thankfully, it's not 26 here, but it's gotten cooler. I have not seen any spiders. Of course, I say that, and then suddenly I'll be talking, and it'll be like right here, coming on down. I'll be like watching it swing back and forth. Anyway, a couple of things I did want to talk about real quickly. So, during one of the news pieces, I was talking about, like, oh yeah, well, it's a like winter themed adventure. It's going to come out in summer. So Funko Games asked, or I shouldn't say Funko Games, Funko asked me if I'd be interested in sharing coverage of an advent calendar, which is themed to The Office. So I guess it's got little pops in it with The Office theme, right? So I was like, sure, yeah, of course. They've sent me a few things to share videos of. And I said, yeah, I can always just share like, every day for the live show, actually open a little advent calendar thing up, see what's in it, whatever. So I hadn't received it. So I sent an email the other day to the contact and I just asked, was this sent out? Because I've never seen it. And they got back to me and they said, oh, yeah, well, we're working all that out and we should be getting those out soon. It's an advent calendar, though. Weren't you looking to sell it prior to December 1st? Sometimes how some of these companies operate leaves me scratching my head. Yeah, we got this advent calendar and it's going to hit stores on December 17th. Still be saving it for, next year. So talking about wind chill, and yes, Cocoa Bee's like, ugh, UPS. Yes, because it was not. It was if I remember off the top of my head, Cocoa Bee got the Castles and Crusades book. So there's 5 of those, and then there was another, I think, book or 2. So yeah, it was not a $20 purchase for the 50/50 auction. Well, it wasn't auction, game sale. So I don't know. Now there was a commenter, someone I can't remember who it was off the top of my head, who on occasion catches the stream live, who said that they worked for UPS for quite some time, and they said it sounded like it was a double label problem. And I was like, well, for one, I know there was only one label on it when I dropped it off, because that's something I always check, because of course I reuse boxes that have been used to send me review stuff. So I was like, I always make sure there's no other indicator on there from UPS or anybody, post office, FedEx, DHL, what have you. So I don't know. But they said it sounds like probably like it's possible that the package got opened somehow and they had to put it back together and put another sticker on it. I don't know. Well, hopefully we find something out, because if it just floats out there, it's bullshit. And I've had stuff sent to me get lost by UPS. I had a game, I think it was from Flying Pig Games, or it was from Tiny Battle Publishing. So I know it was from Mark H. Walker, and didn't show up, didn't show up, didn't show up. 6 months later, the box shows up and it is beaten to shit. It's like, oh my. 245 Trioxin says that double label crap happened to them when they bought a 3D printer. Jeez, boy, I tell you. So 245 Trioxin says the company ended up sending a second one. Only issue I have is I don't have more to send out. That's it. So we will find out. We'll see what happens. Hopefully, if UPS can't figure it out, they will refund me, make a payment here. But yeah, who knows? Who knows? Anyway, so I did want to mention that, where it's kind of like, so Funko wants to promote this advent calendar, but you're going to get it after December 1st. All righty then. So, other thing I want to mention is I will have an announcement tomorrow, a short video announcement that I'll be rolling out, I'm pretty sure. So, Jay says delivery companies struggle. Well, they certainly charge enough, so they shouldn't be struggling. I'll put it that way. So anyway, yes. So it'll just be a little short video, pretty quick. It's to the point. I've kind of discussed it in the past, so it's not going to come as any great shock to anyone at all. It's not bad news. Don't worry. All righty. So we are going to be diving on into Vaesen, Mythic Britain, and Ireland in just a few moments. But I think it's time for a brief intermission.
Your assignment, danger. Your mission, find the master spy. Your weapon, secret Sam. Through Secret Sam's periscope. You see him, but he can't see you. You locate the master spy. You talk to him. And Secret Sam's hidden camera is taking his picture right now. Suddenly you're discovered. Secret Sam fires bullets from inside the case. Secret Sam has barrel extension. Special missile sends message to your partner. Mission accomplished. You handle...
It's intermission time, folks. Time out for a delicious snack in our sparkling refreshment building. Every item a fresh, appetizing taste treat.
For perfect refreshment, serve ice cold Coca-Cola. Best loved sparkling drink in all the world. Stock up on Coca-Cola for happy holidays ahead. Coca-Cola.
Maris is ready. Here's the pitch. It's going, it's in there. A new Major League record, 61 home runs by Roger Maris.
Hi, kids. That sure was a day for me. Part of the thrill of baseball. The kind of real excitement I've put into my great new game by Pressman, Action Baseball.
The score is 2-2. You're up at bat. The pitcher's set, and he can pitch. Fastball, slow ball, curve. Here it comes. A hot single to right. And the next one, a strike. The pitch, a smashing double to left field. Another run batted in. All the skill and excitement of World Series when you play Roger Maris Action Baseball by Pressman. Now you can hit home runs just like Roger Maris.
Yes, kids. There's nothing like the thrill of baseball. And now it's yours.
Get Roger Maris Action Baseball today, $2.98. Oh boy, a Pressman toy.
The cannon's name is Johnny Reb. Hurrah, hurrah. Give him a hearty welcome and hurrah, hurrah. Oh, men will cheer, boys will shout, the ladies they will all turn out and we'll all feel gay when Johnny comes marching home. The hero's name is Johnny Reb. Hurrah, hurrah. Most famous cannon you can get. Hurrah, hurrah. Oh, Johnny Reb is ready now. Load him up. Wow! And we'll all feel gay when Johnny comes marching home.
Be sure you get Johnny Reb, Remco's authentic Civil War cannon. $11.98, complete with loader, cannonballs, tow rope, and battle flag. Remember, every boy wants a Remco toy, and so do girls.
For perfect refreshment, serve ice cold Coca-Cola. Best loved sparkling drink in all the world. Stock up on Coca-Cola for happy holidays ahead. Coca-Cola.
When's old man Wilkins gonna pay us for all this foolishness?
When we sell more Wilkins coffee.
Buy Wilkins, will you?
You know, nothing brings back the memories of Christmas like the great songs of Christmas. Some of the greatest are here in Goodyear's newest album, Christmas Eve. 14 Christmas classics by outstanding artists of our time. Barbara Streisand, The Carpenters, Frank Sinatra, Joe Stafford, The Hillside Singers, Judy Garland, Tony Bennett. How did he get in this? Andy Williams, The Mills Brothers, Doris Day, Vicky Carr, Kathy Page, and Julie Andrews. Christmas is just $1.25 at your Goodyear service store and most Goodyear dealers. You want to hurry, because this is one memory that won't last forever.
Yes, it was the incorrect brief intermission to start off. Yes, it was yesterday's. What can I tell you? Forgot to turn the light on, and then see, it was funny because I I was sitting down here. I'm like, oh, I got to make sure that I have these images all set up right because I know one of them only had the one image, the Dungeon Crawl Classics, and it's not unusual for me to forget to change the images that are being shown, and all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, there's yesterday's stuff popping on through. First off, there are a lot of things wrong with that Canon toy commercial. Oh, so wrong. And what is with okay, we got kids who are dressed as Confederates, and then we have kids who are dressed as Union soldiers, and they're like, oh, hey. No. And then we get Bing Crosby. Yeah, that guy was twisted. I have to say, a lot of times for Christmas, we go to my brother's, and a lot of times they'll be watching like some Bing Crosby movie or something like that, and I'll start, like getting into the Bing Crosby voice, and all right, come on, bring the kids in so I can beat them. He was supposed to be just an awful, awful father, but I'm sure you all knew that. Oh, yes. Madman gas. Were those kids firing double canister at each other in those cannons? Yeah, they're made out of BBs. So Jay says that cannon toy was at least inclusive. That and also girls. Yeah, that toy company always throws that in. I've shared a few commercials from that toy company, and they'll be like, and girls. Not forget the young ladies out there. They want these toys too. They want these military toys. All righty then. So today I am going to dive on in and take a first look at Vaesen, Mythic Britain and Ireland from Free League Publishing. Written by Graeme Davis with artwork provided by Johan, Egerkrans, and Anton, Vitus. The 156-page hardcover carries an MSRP of $44.99, or you can grab the PDF over at DriveThruRPG for $21.99. All right, so Connor Dunning is with us. Connor says that they went to a Civil War reenactment as a kid, really wanted the gray hat from the souvenir tent. But thankfully, his mom made him get the blue one. Come on, man. They were only fighting for states' rights. Come on. Don't you know that? Wow, if that isn't bullshit these days. But we're not getting into that because we're looking at Vaesen, Mythic Britain, and Ireland. And we're going to swing it over to the other camera because bing, here we got it. When I went bing, I didn't mean Bing Crosby. I just went bing. So before we dive in, I do want to point out the fine folks over at Free League Publishing were kind enough to provide me with this review copy. But neither I nor anyone else affiliated with the Gaming Gang has received any other sort of compensation for me to share this coverage with you. These days, it's important that you know that. Also, I'll be staying picture in picture up here, as I always do. That means I'll be cutting off the upper portion of the book as we look through. We're also not going to be looking at each and every page. But I do want to give you a good feel for what's in this supplement. And I'm kind of curious myself. Let's take a look at the back here. Leave the mythic north and set sail for the mist-shrouded isles of mythic Britain and Ireland. Explore the bustling streets of London. Discover the secrets of Rose House and the British society. Roam the islands and walk the moors in search of long-lost tales and ancient remnants. In this expansion, for the award-winning Vaesen Nordic horror role-playing, you'll find a complete guide to the supernatural Irish Isles, including the great city of London and the countryside beyond. Mythic Britain and Ireland is written by industry legend Graeme Davis and illustrated by Johan, I should say, Egerkrans and Anton Vitus, as I already pointed out. Then it talks about what's in here, but we are going to take a peek inside anyway. So we will find out in just a moment what we've got. So if the name Graeme Davis rings any bells, it is because he has done a lot of Warhammer Fantasy roleplay adventures over the years. In fact, the Wifrip director's cut of Enemy Within is his work. So, of course, I have been reviewing that series. We are going to be actually wrapping that up very shortly. That's one of the reviews that's on the very near horizon. So here we've got a preface, kind of a cool map there. It's supposed to look like it's from that period. So if you're not overly familiar with Vaesen, it's kind of I would say a folkloric horror role-playing game, but it's not like really grim and dark. It's not where, you've got characters who are going to end up, insane, in an asylum or anything like that. Got a very interesting art style to it as well. Welcome to Britain and Ireland, as found in the world of Vaesen. London is the heart of a thriving empire ruled by Queen Victoria. Railway lines radiate out from the capital, connecting it to the nation's other great cities and carrying people and goods to all parts of the country. Between the cities, the countryside remains much as it has since the Middle Ages. There we go. So we've got a lot of like fairies and fae, kind of folkloric creatures like banshees and things like that. So this is going to go into some detail about the British Isles. Well, at least Britain and Ireland. I was going to say, I'm looking for some artwork to kind of give you an idea of the style. There we go. So it looks like, as an example, we've got a little bit of info about some of these other cities and then an adventure hook. So as an example, we've got Dublin. Capital of Ireland was first founded by the Vikings in the 9th century. It has grown into a thriving city thanks to the wool and linen trades, and the architecture of the city center is as fine as anything found in London. Its slums are as full of crime and disease as those of any other large city, though, and there are many who would like to see Ireland throw off British rule and become an independent nation. And then we have the Demon Cat of Killikee, house stands in the hills of the south of Dublin. It's been the scene of many hauntings. Scratching sounds are often heard within the walls, as though an animal were trapped there. There's rats in the walls. Yeah, I'm just, auditioning for audiobooks. Not really. A few people have been confronted by the apparition of a monstrous black cat, sometimes accompanied by a wall of thick mist. Kind of odd. Like, that black cat. What's with that mist? That mist with you? Ghosts of two nuns have also been seen. It is said locally the house was used by the infamous Hellfire Club in the 18th century. I got to be honest, I started listening to an audiobook about the Hellfire Club because I was kind of curious about that. And I was like, like it was one of these books where I thought, oh, this should be pretty interesting because I like, English history and I kind of dig the, Victorian era and things like that. Man, it was dry as a bone. I'm like, oh, I can't, just can't. Connor asked, Dublin under British rule, eh? Yes, during the Victorian age it was. All of England was. So we got Belfast, Cardiff, Tower of London. So it looks like we're just kind of getting little bite-sized chunks. Hey, there we go. Got a bookmark. We'll point out paper stock is very nice. Should hold up very, very nicely to repeated use at your game table. But as I was saying, and of course, this isn't a review, obviously enough. First time I've seen this, but it looks like we're just kind of getting little paragraphs. There's about a paragraph, maybe two paragraphs about these various entries. So not a lot of detail. So we have like Bethlehem Hospital. But it's kind of just, okay, so Bethlehem Hospital moved across the Thames to Southwark in 1815, one of London's oldest hospitals. It was founded in 1247. Over the centuries, it became an asylum for the insane. That's where your Call of Cthulhu characters will end up. And its nickname of Bedlam became a synonym for chaos and pandemonium. Even now, it is more of a prison than a hospital, and its methods, while not as brutal as they once were, are still far from gentle. So that we've got a little box here. It says, a stay in Bedlam is never a pleasant experience, but it may help a player character who has suffered unbearable mental trauma. It is also quite possible that some of the patients here are quite sane and have been admitted because they have encountered some supernatural creatures and refuse to be told that such things cannot be real. Should also point out on a historical note that many women were institutionalized during this time period in England because they had money and other members of their family who were male wanted that money. So I know that that would happen quite often. Kevin says they might be assuming that people can look up a lot of history online. It's not like the 80s. When you are relying on your Call of Cthulhu supplements to give you accurate history for your campaign. Yes, okay, so I can see that. I get that, right? But you're also paying $44.99 for this book. So you might as well be saying, well, Jeff, we've got this role-playing game core book with the rules and stuff, but, we're going to let you look up a bunch of stuff online. Now, I'm not knocking this book. I'm just pointing this out. This is something I've noticed, comparing it to other role-playing game systems and actually other stuff that Graeme Davis has worked on. So Jay says, still not as scary as the Phantom Raspberry Blower of Old London Town that's on YouTube. So when you're saying raspberry, are you saying like that kind of raspberry? No, actually, the ghost blows fruit at people. All right. So, yeah, so we got a plan of London. We got another example of the art style. So here we've got little nugget bios of various fictional and real folks here. Looks like Sherlock Holmes, Henry Jekyll, AJ Raffles. Those are the fictional folks. So page and a half of that. Then we got some societies and groups. So this looks to be quite high level. So this is not any sort of deep drill down into Britain and Ireland during this period. Let's see what we've got. This is what I was looking most forward to, is see what kind of ghoulies and beasties we've got. There's the artwork that's on the cover. I really do dig the artwork. So Kevin points out, yeah, true. It's a little thin for that price. I mean, page count. I mean, I've encountered short books that are just packed with gaming material and gaming potential, and then I've run across stuff that's 400 pages long, and you're like, "Where's the game?" Like, this is just all filler. Okay, so these are societies. Oh, looks like we've got some new classes. So archetypes, I should say, is what they're known. So you got the athletes. He's a pugilist. Yes, that is what he is. The entertainer, the socialite. So so there we go. 3. We got some new supernatural creatures. This chapter presents a selection of supernatural creatures from Mythic Britain and Ireland, as well as some notes on the local counterparts of the Scandinavian Vaesen from the core rulebook. Also discusses some characteristics and themes that occur in many local accounts of supernatural creatures. If you're a player, stop reading. So if you're a player, then probably tune out of this right here. So Kevin says, looks like the page count's pretty similar to 5e books. I gotta be honest. No, for one, the page stock is far thicker than what we get in WotC books. Actually, this is a bit shorter, because right now I think like some of the shorter 5e books are about 224 as far as the page counts. This is clocking in, including the bibliography, and I thought I saw an index. Wasn't there an index? Yes, right there. So we're clocking in at like 156. But the book itself is a little thicker than like a 224 page which is the Coast book. And yes, there's quite a bit more white space here. Which I gotta be honest, I would think this is probably an irritant to some gamers out there, because if you look, once again, I love the folks over at Free League Publishing. They treat me right. They always do. And the great majority of their releases are really good. A lot of value, high production quality. But just taking a peek at this, that's not much of a word count on these pages. I mean, this kind of falls into where people used to complain about Dungeons and Dragons releases, and we're talking 3rd edition 3.5, that there was too much artwork and what people like to refer to as fluff, as opposed to gameable material. And I gotta say, I mean, this is better, but I mean, some of these pages are, I mean, okay, so if we take these paragraphs here, and if we fit them, they would maybe be a little more than half of the page. So Kevin says, I am sure nobody misses 70s and 80s RPGs where text was crammed onto the page. Yeah. Certainly don't miss those Judges Guild products at all. Well, you got to be honest, really haven't picked up many in my life. those that I had seen, it was like, oh my goodness. Like, did this just come straight off the typewriter? Jay says Free League, in their mind, really upped the bar on the quality of role-playing game books. I agree. I certainly agree that the production quality on Free League is excellent. And let's be honest, if you think about it, it wasn't too long ago that really the only game they produced was Mutant Year Zero, and that was actually you could buy it. That was through Modifius, if I remember correctly. So they've come a long, long way. They certainly have. So we have the Dullahan. Dullahans travel Irish roads at night, collecting the souls of those who are destined to die. A Dullahan is a solitary headless figure, either riding a horse or driving a coach. It carries its head in its left hand, held high, to see far off and over obstacles, while its right holds a whip made of a human spine. Its head is rotting, but still alive, with a ghastly grin and huge eyes that can see through the darkest night and the thickest fog. Although the artwork here, it looks like that's just a skull. Where's that whip? Then we get some examples of conflict. So it looks like these are just kind of adventure seeds, really, more than anything else. Kind of like encounter seeds, I guess I would say. We have the Glaistig. The Glaistig most often takes the form of a young woman with long yellow blonde hair and a pale grayish cast to her skin. She wears flowing green. Oh, okay. For a second, I was like, did I somehow miss a word here? She wears flowing green dress, which may conceal goat-like legs. However, some Glaistigs are completely human in appearance, and some can take the form of a goat at will. Glaistigs employ various tricks to lure lone male travelers. Well, you knew the men were going to be involved in this somehow. To their lairs, where they are overpowered, killed, and eaten. Come on, you didn't see that coming? I saw that. See what else we got. The Knocker. Yep. Take a look at the image there. Yep, those hands are made for knocking. And that's just what they'll do. One of these days, these hands are gonna knock all over you. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, that was awful. Knockers stand about 18 inches tall and look like human miners. I was gonna make a joke about miners, but I won't. With oversized heads. They inhabit. See, it says the inhabit. Looks like there's a few typos in this book. They inhabit the tin mines of Cornwall, where the best deposits can always be found by following the sound of their tools. They have also been known to knock on the walls of a mine to warn their mortal neighbors of an imminent collapse. No, so they're actually good. Knockers are not hostile, but have been known to pilfer food and move tools as a prank. They will throw stones from the shadows at anyone who mocks them. Don't mock the knock. If seriously offended, they will abandon a mine, leaving it barren and profitless for the mortals left behind. There, take that with you. They are strong out of all proportion to their size and can outwork a human miner quite easily. The Nuklavi looks like an odd centaur type creature. The Puka. That certainly doesn't look like Harvey. Connor says miners must have been ugly back in the day. The puka, and we've got various other spellings, is a shape-shifting trickster that is common throughout the islands. Can take the form of almost anything and delights in leading its victims on a long chase or surprising them in other ways. Its true form is unknown, though it often appears as a goat, pig, horse, or cow. What? No rabbit? No 6-foot rabbit? What? This book is nonsense. Can also imitate almost any inanimate object. Unlike fairies and others, the puka does not victimize drunkards or bad-tempered people. Usually befriends them, right? You know what I'm talking about, folks. My gosh, if you don't know what I'm talking about, I feel awfully sorry for you. It is seldom malicious, and its tricks are never deadly. Seems to play its pranks on those who are most likely to take them in good part and tell others their stories. Alrighty. We have the Selkie. So we've got a breakdown of some existing, I should say, Vaesen. Oh, okay. So then this is an adventure. I was gonna say, wait a second. I'm like, didn't we just wrap up the bestiary? What is that? Old Meg. This mystery for Vaesen takes place in the rural west of England, where the old ways died hard. Not starring Bruce Willis. And echoes of the pagan past are all around. Can equally well be set in Scandinavia, where there are similar traditions of hags and troll wives and of miracle working saints. While the cause of the mystery is not difficult to determine, the characters will find themselves faced with a powerful foe who is not at all easy to stop. All right, so who's going to chime in and chat about the puka and what reference I was making? Come on, I know the madman's going to jump in with it. He's got to. He's got to. I know it. Unless he's left somehow. All right. So just taking a look at the adventure here. Like we've got a few adventures. See what we've got. See what we've got in our table of contents here. So we have Old Meg. And then on page 106, we have another. Thank you, Jay. Yes, it's Harvey. And if you have not seen the movie Harvey, I don't care if you don't like black and white movies. If you're like, oh, black and white movies are boring. I don't watch that. Watch it. I'm telling you, you will enjoy it. It's actually a really good movie to watch a few times. I mean, not like right after each other, but like on the third or fourth time, you'll pick up stuff that were like, oh my gosh, I didn't notice that before. Jay says they keep meaning to see it, but they haven't seen it. Oh my God, it's excellent. It is funny too, and it is aged really well. It's not one of these movies. So if you enjoy watching It's a Wonderful Life every Christmas, and you're like, well, this movie hasn't aged too badly. It's like that. So there you go. Jay says it's like A Wonderful Life. It's not as sugary sweet, I guess we will say, because Jimmy Stewart basically plays a drunkard. But everybody thinks he's imagining this puka, the 6-foot tall rabbit. But the actress who plays Aunt is excellent. It was actually originally a Broadway play, and she played the aunt on Broadway. And she is just, because she's just completely losing it throughout the film. She is awesome. Everybody in that movie is great. You know, now I'm going to sit there, probably finish up watching, finish up doing this stream, and then I'm going to go watch Harvey. So we have the Lantywell incident. Player characters travel to a mining village in Wales where they must find some way to make peace between the spirits of the local mine and a zealous minister determined to rid the valley of its pagan superstitions. Jay says they haven't seen It's a Wonderful Life. Jay, did you grow up in like Soviet Russia? Coco B says, Dragon Magazine's Puka was a big rabbit. Yes. The Puka in Dragon Magazine is supposed to be Harvey. Straight Kismet says, we watch A Christmas Story and go out back and shoot Red Riders. See, now that's another classic, A Christmas Story. When I finish taking a peek at this, I will share a story about It's a Wonderful Life. I think you'll get a kick out of it. All right, so that is that adventure. And looks like we got a pretty good page count on these adventures as well. What was it, 130 or 126? And we have the Hampstead Group. This mystery takes place in the heart of London, a place where few expect to find fairies and other supernatural creatures. The borough of Hampstead has grown recently thanks to the North London Railway, as the wealthy flee the increasingly crowded center for the fresh air and pleasant walks of nearby Hampstead Heath. Duke. Countdown and catastrophe. Kind of cool. We get a little sidebar here talking about creating atmosphere. It says Newford House is the heart of the mystery, and although the player characters may not realize it at first, they are entering the lair of a very dangerous monster. The atmosphere inside the house is completely different from any of the other places they have visited in Hampstead, which can act as a clue. Now, there's some read aloud. All right. So we got some handouts. We've got some expanded profession tables and life event tables. And we've got a bibliography. Just kind of taking a look here. See if there's anything that I recognize here. Well, obviously the complete Sherlock Holmes. Yes, it's kind of funny because I grew up at a time when we had all these various bookstores. We had like Crown Books and Walden Books. And you could pick up like 1,000-page hardcover with every Sherlock Holmes story in it. And you could always get it for like $10. They used to pick it up and pick those up and give them out as Christmas presents a lot. All right. So that is a look at Vaesen, Mythic Britain and Ireland from Free League Publishing. And of course, I will have a review of this in the relatively near future. All right, let's swing on over to the other camera. Jay says, no, they didn't grow up in Soviet Russia. Spent a lot of childhood years. If it did, film didn't have robots or sword fighting, just weren't interested. Their adult tastes are slowly growing. Coco B says there's a recent TMZ vid of the Christmas Story house owner going off on one of the actors on the porch. Can you blame them though? How many people have like tramped all over that location? It must really suck. to live someplace just like the Brady Bunch. That was like the exterior. Now, I'm not talking about when they were like, you know, on the AstroTurf grass and stuff. But that exterior was an actual home that they'd always show like a picture of, you know. I had heard crazy stories about, you know, nuts, like fucking like camping outside of it and stuff like that. Oh my God. Crazy. All right. So here's a little story about It's a Wonderful Life to wrap up the show. So I remember there was a time when I was late teens, early 20s that Christmas season would roll around and you would see It's a Wonderful Life on a multitude of channels. So it wasn't like nowadays where NBC shows It's a Wonderful Life. It's usually on Christmas evening. And that's become kind of a tradition with folks. Well, back in the day, back in the 80s and 90s, you would see it on all these different channels, all these different UHF channels. And there were times you would get closer to Christmas where you would possibly see It's a Wonderful Life on 3 channels, maybe 4 at the same time, all at various points in the movie. So, for one, I didn't see the beginning of It's a Wonderful Life for years. I would normally turn it on at the point, and yes, sorry to spoil anything for anybody out there who hasn't seen it, but I mean, the film has been out since 1946. I used to always turn it on when Clarence jumps into the river instead of George. And I didn't realize that there's like an hour of film before that until one time I finally caught it as it was coming on. So anyway, there was a reason why it was on all the time, and there was a reason why you'd see it on multiple channels at the same time. And that's because it was public domain. Because when the copyright for It's a Wonderful Life needed to be renewed, the company that held it, which to be honest, I'm not sure who it was. I know it wasn't Liberty Films because they were long defunct. But whoever owned the copyright either forgot to renew it or decided, you know what, this movie's just not worth renewing the copyright for, because it had kind of been a flop when it came out. A lot of people don't know that It's a Wonderful Life kind of ended the career of its director, Frank Capra. I mean, he made other movies, but it was never the same. Because I mean, there was a point where Frank Capra was kind of like the Spielberg at his, you know, greatest in Hollywood. He could do no wrong. But after World War II and after It's a Wonderful Life, Kevin says it's amazing how long the movie actually is. And also points out they had had the same experience. They had never watched the entire film all the way through until the first time NBC aired it on Christmas Eve. So anyway, like I said, whoever had the copyright decided, well, you know what, we're not gonna renew it. So it became public domain. So I also remember you would go and you'd go into and any old store, electronics store, like a Best Buy kind of thing, and you'd always see these discounted VHS tapes, or years later you would start seeing DVDs, and you would see all of these various different releases of It's a Wonderful Life because it was public domain. Anybody could sell copies of the film. So I had heard, now this would have been, I think, 1992-ish. By 1995, It's a Wonderful Life became a classic film. Prior to that, prior to the film entering the public domain, nobody knew anything about it. Nobody remembered it. It wasn't like, oh, this is a Christmas tradition. No. So in the 90s, if that company had renewed the copyright, they would have been making, now keep in mind, it's the 1990s. The company that owned the copyright, if they had renewed it, would have been making approximately $26 million a year on the sales of tapes and DVDs and whatnot for It's a Wonderful Life. So to renew the copyright when it expired would have cost $4. And now you know the rest of the story. You got to be pretty old to catch that reference there. But still, I thought that was just insane when I heard about that. I mean, I knew It's a Wonderful Life had been public domain, but a $4 renewal on the copyright? Sarah D, thank you. Yes, like Paul Harvey. Yep. Good old Paul Harvey. And now you know the rest of the story. He had such a great voice. There are, in fact, to be honest, that's how I know that story. Because I remember Paul Harvey talking about it. I might be off on some of the details, but the gist of the story is correct. So Kevin says, but if the company had renewed the copyright, all those recordings wouldn't have been produced and the movie wouldn't have aired all those times. You're such a buzzkill, Kevin. Man, I'm going to start calling you Scrooge R. Smith. Kathy Evans said they got the reference to Paul Harvey. Sarah says they have a book of his stories. Sweet. Yeah, so here's the thing that I don't know. And this is regarding Paul Harvey, and then I'll wrap up the show for real. I understand that he was kind of a radio host. And all I recall is the rest of the story segments that would air on like an AM radio station. It's funny. I seem to recall hearing it a lot of times when I go to the dentist. I don't know why. That was usually or like in a doctor's office or something like that. But I understand that he had been, or he was like a radio host, just like a lot of people might not realize when you're watching a Christmas story that the voiceover is provided by Gene Shepard, who wrote the short story that, well, short stories, I should say, that A Christmas Story is based on. And Gene Shepard was a DJ out of New York. He was a late night. He was like 10 p.m. DJ, and he'd have guests and stuff like that. He also had a very distinct voice. So anyway, I love Kevin. Like, but if the company hadn't, like, geez. All right, everybody, we're gonna start the parade now. Everybody ready? All right, Kevin, will you put the rain away, please? Mr. Eddie T says, I thought he was a WLS radio man. Paul Harvey? I don't know. I don't think he was out of Chicago. And I certainly know Gene Shepard wasn't. I know he was out of New York because I've actually listened to some old stuff. If you want to check out Paul Harvey, I think. Oh, so Eddie T says no, Gene Shepard. No, Gene Shepard was out of New York. As far as I know, at least the recordings I've listened to were out of New York. But I was going to say, if you want to check out Paul Harvey, go to YouTube. There are some videos of him, and then there's more videos that are just recordings that you might check out. So Jay says, well, both films have moved up their list. I'm telling you, if you have not seen Harvey, anybody watching this, I don't care if it's live, Memorex, what have you. If you have not seen Harvey, please see it. And then if you would like, comment in the comment section and let me know what you thought of it, because unless you're a troll of some sort, you should enjoy it. All righty, that is it for this time out. Big extra long show to wrap up the week, or at least my week, as far as the videos go. All right, if you like this video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, ding that bell. Will not only let you know when the dispatch streams live right here on YouTube. I'm trying to grab something I'm going to show. Get over here. You'll not only know when it streams live at 7 p.m. Central, Monday through Wednesday here on YouTube. Also let you know when I upload other videos, such as my recent review of Shake That City from AEG. So also want to point out, you still have a few days to win one of my 2 copies of the new D&D Dragonlance release, Shadow of the Dragon Queen. So check out my first look video to find out how you can get into the running. I am giving away this alternate art edition as well as the standard edition. And I will be choosing the winner on December 4th when I shoot my review. So keep that, or wait, when does this come out? For some reason I thought this is December 5th. I don't know. You got about a week, maybe. All right. Also, what's coming up next week? So on Monday's show, we're going to take a look at Tomb of Beasts 3 Layers from Cobalt Press. Then on Tuesday, we're going to dive on into more Lex Arcana. And this is Dacia and Thracia, which is from Egerkrans Games. And then we've got more Free League Publishing goodies. On Wednesday, we're going to take a look at the new revised edition of Into the Odd. So, plenty of fun on the horizon. All right, those of you who watch live, thank you very much. Always appreciate you taking some time out to join me. You took part in chat. Bonus experience points. If you watch Harvey, I'm going to give you 2 levels. I'm going to level you up twice. You watch Harvey and tell me what you thought about it in the comment section. Of course, I know a lot of people don't have an opportunity to watch live. Doesn't matter if you're watching live or on Memorex. Thank you very kindly for taking time out of your busy life to watch any of the videos. Of course, like, damn it. I bumped the keyboard. Like, just about to say, then it goes to, well, I bumped the keyboard with my elbow. Hey, it's a live show. Stuff happens. Happens all the time. So, Flaming Heron says, got to be level 20 by now. Like level 4. So, Flaming Heron says, the outro couldn't wait. Like, come on, it's Wednesday, Jeff. Let's go. I got to get to the bar. Anyway, I will be back on Monday. Here's hoping each and every one of you has a great rest of the week. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy the rest of your morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time of day it is today. And of course, I certainly hope you enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang.
And now, folks, it's time to say goodnight. We sincerely appreciate your patronage and hope we've succeeded in bringing you an enjoyable evening of entertainment. Please drive home carefully and come back again soon. Good night.
Oh, hey, you're still here. That's okay. You don't have to leave just yet. In fact, why don't you subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel right here, or take a peek at the latest live stream, or even find out what YouTube recommends you check out from the channel. And of course, I'm Jeff McAleer. Thanks again for watching.